Hello, welcome to Family Therapy Podcast. My name is George Chacha. 3 reasons why my mother-in-law refused my dowry. 3 reasons why my mother-in-law refused me from paying dowry. 1. My mother-in-law, the late Robbie Maitari, may she rest in peace, looked at me and told me, "My son, I don't want you to pay any dowry because I have 3 issues that I want you to address more than paying the dowry." And she said, 1, take good care of my daughter. Love her. Take good care of her. Treat her with respect. Give her all the attention, and you will have paid your dowry in full. My late mother-in-law, despite her advanced age, her thinking, her philosophy, her perception was so modern as compared even to the modern time parents who would otherwise maybe put a price tag for their daughters, who would be very, very clear on what they want as a bride price. My mother-in-law, Robbie Maitari, simply looked at me and said, "Son, take good care of my daughter. May she never cry. May she never weep." Then she went to point number 2. "My son, rather than paying the dowry, build me a house." She looked up to the roof and showed me and told me, "My son, I'm living a relatively difficult life. If you can give me a roof over my head, you will have paid your dowry. A simple house structure is all I need, where I can sleep in comfort, where the rain will not be a bother to me. Do that for me, my son. Not the cows, not the dowry." She went on to point number 3. "My son, my daughter has grown up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She is the daughter of the church. You shall never get her out of this church. You shall allow her to worship in full, in totality. She shall always remain a Seventh-day Adventist worshiper." These are the 3 conditions that my late mother, Robbie Maitari, gave me. And these conditions, I engraved them in my heart. Looking back, I cannot help to appreciate this old woman who had reached a point where she was almost bending over due to age and ill health. She talked of me taking care of her daughter, and she told me that I shall never beat her. And honestly, sure enough, looking back, I now realize that I fulfilled these conditions up to where it was humanly possible. I loved her daughter. I carried her and bore her in my heart. I never beat her. I never physically abused her. I respected her, because every single moment I would remember the promise I made to my mother-in-law, the late Robbie Maitari. I built my mother-in-law a house, a good house, so responsible towards my mother-in-law, the late Robbie Maitari, I was, such that While working in Nairobi, I would send her monthly stipend. And even several years later, after I relocated home, I felt obliged to support and just provide upkeep to my mother-in-law. Towards the end of her life, when she was very ill, I sent for her and I took her to St. Joseph's Ombo Mission Hospital, where she was hospitalized for 8 days. And when finally she couldn't fight any longer, my mother-in-law asked to be taken home to die in the very house that I had built her, together with her daughter, of course. I have lived to the promise that my mother-in-law died in my arms, under my care and support. I remember a moment in her life almost 20 years before, when my mother-in-law reached a point where she lost her sight, and the whole village said that Robbie Maitari had become blind due to age. I remember her daughter, my wife at the time, proposing that we bring her to Nairobi, where we took her to Kikuyu Mission Hospital. And within a few days, my mother-in-law had cataracts removed from her eyes. And once again, I gave something critical to my mother-in-law. I restored her sight, such that 20 years later, when my mother-in-law died, she was seeing. She had her sight. All this is from that one statement she told me: "My son, I don't want your dowry in cows. Be my son, love my daughter, and take care of her." It is apparent that many a time the parents will exert pressures. It's like they want a one-time prize. It's like they have a fixed price. There is a tag that is placed on their daughter that unless the man meets that price, then the daughter is not within reach. I want to call upon all parents who have daughters, who have sons, to take note that it is the wisdom of the parents that will hold the children together, and not the desire of their hearts. You may want millions, you may want even a petrol station as a dowry, yet once that is paid, then your child is at the mercy of the person who bought her, because that's in effect what we really read. I therefore encourage parents out there, let us build relationship between our children. Let us not put excessive baggage upon them, because even if my mother-in-law had asked for a fixed number of cows at the time, I couldn't have managed, because I simply did not have the cows. I did not have the money. So, if you have liked this show and you feel that there is wisdom in the words of that 75-year-old at the time of my mother-in-law, Robbie Maitari, and you feel that she had a lesson for the modern time parents, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell. Let us keep this dialogue alive, because in the end, it is about us and our children. Let us leave an open window to our children, so that should they come to a point where they feel like it's just not working, there is nothing binding them. there's nothing holding them. Otherwise, thank you so much, and let's meet again in another episode where we'll be talking more about family issues, about family aspect. Thank you.